And join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Upcoming meeting dates are May 19th, 2026 and June 16th, 2026. We have minutes from our last meeting held on March 17th, 2026. Could I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, first item on the agenda is Ridges at Stormville Mountain Subdivision. This is an adjourned public hearing, so could I have a motion to reopen the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Hello, my name is John Kuroda. I'm applicant, and then this is Amy Patain with LRC Group. Procedurally, is there anything, do we typically reintroduce what we've done since the last meeting and then take public comment?
That would be helpful if you could just give us a real quick shot on anything that has happened or changed since the last time you made a presentation.
So one material change is since the last meeting, it's a 10-lot proposed new lots, 12-lot subdivision. The 10 new lots all on Stormville Mountain. Lots 2 and lot 10 have been cleared. That was in order to allow for wells to be drilled at some point for Board of Health. So those have not been drilled yet. We're still waiting on final approval from Board of Health to put them in those spots, but it's pending. So we did that in advance of the Indiana bat clearing deadline. Other than that, working through as far as addressing comments from the town and the town's consultants. And I don't know if there's anything you would add since the last meeting.
Nothing I would add since the last meeting. We're just here tonight to get through any other public comments that we have, and potentially, move forward with the process and closing the public hearing and possibly a neg deck and a preliminary is what we would be looking for.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from our board members? If not, any questions or comments from our professionals?
Yes, I did a memo. I think you received it. I don't know if the entire board did, but it pertains to the site distance and I think an arrangement that we had reached in terms of making sure that that site distance is achieved. And I think you have the copy of that?
I do have a copy.
Maybe if you just
Would you like me to just read it?
You just read that.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Okay, this is a memorandum from Scott Bryan, dated today. This project requires substantial clearing and grading work along Stormville Mountain Road to obtain the required site distance for the proposed lots, excluding lots 2 and 10. It's my recommendation that this work be performed before the final subdivision plan is signed. However, it would be acceptable for the project to be split into 2 phases. Phase 1 would include house construction on lots 2 and 10, along with the required driveway sightline improvements for the remaining lots. Phase 2 could commence after the associated sightlines have been accepted by HVEA. Final sightlines will be required to be certified by the owner's New York State licensed surveyor. Special inspections will be required during the sightline work and to confirm sightlines have all been established. An escrow will be required for these inspections. In addition, the owner agrees to convey drainage easements to the town as requested by the town engineer or highway superintendent upon completion of the clearing and grading work. These easements will have no impact on lot count. I think you were in receipt of this?
Yep.
We received that, and then everything in there it makes sense, and we agree to comply with all of that.
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman, I think we would have to put, if the board wanted to go along with this, I think on any sort of filed map, we'd have to put an actual note on the filed map about the phasing plan, just so in case they sold it in the future, anyone else bought it, we wouldn't want someone else coming in thinking they could just build all the homes right away before the site distances.
Well, they would actually have to come back for a signature on that second phase? How does that work exactly?
No, I think since it's a subdivision, they would get preliminary approval and then they come back for final. I don't think you could split the final into 2 different maps. I think the final approval would have to have the note.
How do they build on lots 2 and 10 without the final?
Would
They
it
need to
just
get
be,
final before they can build on 2 and 10.
Oh, but the idea is a mechanism, we need a mechanism that go ahead and proceed with 2 and 10. Okay? That's why they call that phase 1. We approve of phase 1. And then after the site distance has been established and certified, we approve, come back and approve of phase 2.
Trouble is we
That's what
haven't
I'm-
completed seeker.
I think,
Just like a phase we did for Hopewell Glen, we did for the Legends, I mean, a lot of projects have phases.
I think you could I mean, we could talk about phasing a little further. I know the memo came out today, so I think maybe we have to discuss a little bit more.
And I guess we can articulate some of that in the final resolution when we get
yes.
to that.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments from our professionals? If not, I'll open it up to members of the public. Are there any members of the public here to speak for or against the project?
I just had a question.
Before you do, if you please come to the podium and sign in and let us know your name and go ahead and ask the question.
So, my name is Peter Amrod. I reside on Stormville Mountain. My only question was regarding SWIP. Is there a plan for SWIP, stormwater prevention?
Yes.
It's in place? Like there's,
Part of these drawings, yes.
it's already out there because the
Nothing's been constructed as part of this approval is a full SWIP, though.
gotcha. Well, just with the massive amounts of land clearing, wouldn't SWIP be like placed before the land clearing started?
The only thing they did was clear trees at this point. They haven't
Oh,
started
okay.
anything.
Fair enough. That was my only concern.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other comments from any member of the public? If not, then I'll accept a motion to close the public hearing. So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And so that completes the public hearing portion of this. I don't think we're prepared to do a neg deck and resolution right now, but I think we will be at the next meeting. Does that sound right, Michelle? Great.
Yes, I mean, we can figure out the phasing, yep.
okay,
We just wanted to assure that we were able to get any and all comments from the public, as I know you were here to do. So,
understood.
so we've done that, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Okay,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is TEG Federal Credit Union. I guess they were here just to see what happened. I think we have a couple of pieces of, well, we have at least one. I'll accept a motion to declare lead agency.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
All right. Brian Stacosa, Dane Stacosa Engineering. This is for approval for construction of a new bank along Route 376. I'm just trying to zoom in here for you. We were in front of the board last month for initial presentation. We received some planning comments from all the town consultants and some input from the board. Some of the improvements that we've made on this plan since our last meeting is we received the new fire truck turning radius from the fire department. We overlaid the radius on the site, and the fire truck can make the complete loop around the building. I think the fire advisory board was in agreement with that. And what allowed us to do that is we shifted the parking lot a little bit. It pulled us out of the front yard landscaping setback, so now we do meet that. We also talked about stormwater management, soil testing, and Board of Health soil testing. We've gone out and we've completed that with the Health Department and for the stormwater side of things. With this application, we made application to the Health Department for sanitary sewer design, and then for stormwater, this will be in our next submission to the town, detailing the subsurface stormwater chambers in the parking lot. Other than that, those were the big hit list items. HVEA had some comments. Colliers Engineering was the traffic consultant on the project, and they were kind of going back and forth with comments. I think the biggest one hanging out there was we agreed to a supplemental traffic impact statement, or traffic impact study, which will address the future expansion of the school. So as it stands, we're going to keep the report that we have, but we will add a supplemental to that, and that will be submitted on the April 30th deadline. So we'll have that for next month. But based upon just talking to Colliers, what the school was proposing, the location and orientation of our entrance wouldn't be affected, but we'll obviously provide that report to the board.
Okay.
That's about it. Also, we went to the ARC. There was some interaction with the ARC. The applicant is working with colors and some exterior modifications, but we will be on for the May 7th agenda to kind of square away with that. Hopefully, at the conclusion of that meeting, at our next meeting, we can show the board what they've developed.
Gotcha, so that's still in progress.
Still in progress.
Okay.
Is there a new proposal for the roof color?
Yes, they were going back and forth between the green and like a lighter shade of brown, and there was some, I think the blue
Blue is off the table.
off the table.
Okay, any questions or comments from board members? If not, how about any questions or comments from our professionals?
I just had a question, actually. Did you see all the county comments that came in?
Yes.
Okay. And I think one of them was about lighting, am I not mistaken? Okay. And so you're going to address it and try to, because I don't believe the lighting levels are relatively low, which is unusual, but I don't know that you had included in the lighting calculations the soffit lighting underneath where because that usually, so you and I have been out there before. We like to keep it right around 5 foot, right around the minimum required.
Yes. It doesn't need to be a soccer stadium.
Yeah. So you'll provide a lighting plan in the next submission?
Yep, we'll fine tune the one that we have, and we'll make sure that that's incorporated.
Brian, is there still a sidewalk proposed?
We provided a sidewalk easement, 10-foot easement along the front there.
So originally it was provided, now it's just been changed to an easement? Is that-
Yeah, one in if it's needed, it can go in. And
That might be something the board wants to consider, whether they want a sidewalk or not.
And then I know there was some talk about landscaping along the, I think it's a residential property boundary. So can you just go over what's proposed there now?
Yeah, we have evergreen trees along that boundary. I believe they're 25, 30 foot on center. It's an existing vegetated boundary now, so we didn't really want to encroach further in toward that. What I was thinking was maybe a fence of some type, so we'll have like the pine trees, and then maybe off, like right behind it, we'd have like a solid PVC fence. That way we're not taking any existing vegetation down that's between our site and the property line, so kind of try to keep what's there, but maybe supplement with a fence.
So that would have to be shown on the next site plan. So does the planning board have any thoughts about what they would like to see there?
Any comments from board members? I think that sounds like an interesting solution, because to take down vegetation doesn't make an awful lot of sense.
Right, and if you're going with an evergreen tree, you want something that's going to grow and expand, and I think that's a good combination, and I think it would also provide some noise buffering, when and if, even with just regular traffic going down the corridor from the neighbors, so I see it as a double win.
So you just, maybe can you, next meeting, just provide a detail and show the planning board what it would look like? Since they won't be able to see it until then.
So back to your comment, Scott, or your question, it had to do with sidewalks. So there are no sidewalks to connect to on either side of this property.
Correct.
So we wouldn't ask them to put one in until that came to pass.
I only mentioned it originally, they had a sidewalk.
Right.
Now it's just an easement, I just bring it to your attention.
Gotcha.
Were there sidewalks installed down where the mobile station, they put the liquor store? I thought we had asked them
Yes,
There
to
are
do that.
sidewalks there.
So is there any kind of continuity to how this would affect like projects like this or future projects like crosswalks and things like that, is there like some kind of master detail that we're working towards, other than the easement, however this would work out? Like just to see that there's connectivity, obviously. You have that plaza up the road, there are two of them, and
I think to answer your question, you got to start somewhere.
sure.
And you try to add and supplement
To it.
as you go. You do have a Stewart's, you have other things.
Yes.
Plaza. When you have the opportunity to put a piece in, as we've done down at 52, we try to put a piece in, and you build upon that.
Okay.
And then in the case of 52, we recently received a grant to fill in the gaps,
Yes.
More than likely, usually if there's any road DOT work on a road, they typically ask you to put sidewalk in now if it's in an area where there's any
Yeah.
possibility of walkability.
And I don't know, like with TEG, like teachers, they're right across the street. If they wanted to physically walk across
to
the street.
stretch your legs.
Yeah.
Rather than walking up and down a parking lot.
Yeah.
Brian, the soil test, the last memo, March 11th, said they were in process, so you completed those?
Yes, we did the septic system with Jim Upright, and then we did the stormwater
So as
management.
far as that subsurface system, everything's good, your numbers all worked out?
Yeah, numbers were good. We're going to just go the different chamber system, so they'd be a little bit shallower, and we'll spread them out a little bit further, but other than that, we had
No surprises?
no surprises.
And we did model the correct truck on the site? Okay.
Yes, the new truck, Jackie forwarded us the new truck, and it's the bigger truck, yep.
I guess one of the questions I'd have too, and I think we spoke of this last time, was there's a single entrance exit at that proposed project, and traffic pattern would remain that they can travel either way on that road that it's connected to, or would there be a forced traffic pattern?
It's two-way, left and right, no restrictions.
Okay.
And that was found acceptable by DOT.
It was found acceptable?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so just to refresh, there was, when we first started this project, it was probably about this time last year, we had initial meeting with the town, and obviously, it's a busy intersection, and traffic analysis was one of the forefront items, so that's why we contacted Colliers. And there was actually 3 interactions between Colliers and DOT going back and forth with analysis and details in their traffic study. And in January of this year, before we submitted, DOT did acknowledge that the location, the use, and future build-out conditions, that location was acceptable as shown.
Okay.
And I think I recall seeing something about the fact that there is a stoplight at the corner, that actually creates some windows of opportunity for left turns and right turns for that matter.
Well, and it's also opposing another parking lot that's for, I believe that's Blue Fountain. So that's definitely going to be busy going in and out of both sides. And I know that the time that it would, the traffic patterns would pick up and dissipate would be different, but even still, that is a very, very, very busy intersection, especially when school is, parents are dropping off and picking up, and there's an unbelievable amount of cars that travel through that, and it gets very backed up.
So I think to summarize, I just want to make sure that we have all the things that Brian has to, the fence detail, the ARC, whatever that resolution is, and then the lighting. And then I think we still need a resolution on the sidewalk, on whether or not we think a sidewalk needs to be installed as part of the project, or if an easement is sufficient. Just understanding that the sidewalks are expensive, and if there's an opportunity to get a sidewalk, I usually think it's a good idea to get one.
And that sidewalk would then go all the way to the corner into a crosswalk that goes across to the high school, or what? I'm trying to think of how that would be configured. Can you speak to that, Brian?
As far as crosswalk location, I'd have to defer to the masters of traffic engineering to see what DOT would be acceptable to. The way that intersection is, I don't know if the introduction of a crosswalk there would, I don't know what that would trigger. So I would defer an answer to that, and I'll bring it to the traffic guys.
Okay,
A potential crosswalk may not even be along this frontage.
gotcha.
There's not a sidewalk on the other side by the middle school, right? No, so you can't really put a crosswalk to nothing, right?
Well, I don't know, are they thinking of putting any sidewalk in as part of the project they're doing? They're doing road work out there?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, you're
And
right.
as far as DOT is concerned, they haven't seen anything either, because we would have incorporated that into, their review, so.
Okay,
So it was in the first plan, but DOT didn't see the first plan, is that what you're saying?
No, they saw the first plan, and between Colliers and DOT, we decided on an easement, so.
Oh, I mean, I think putting in the sidewalk is definitely the way to go. We required it down the street. I think it, as a matter of just long-term development, we should put in a sidewalk.
Well, Scott made the statement, and I agree with it. It all begins somewhere, and then it's got to
Absolutely.
have a continuation. So if the idea is to have sidewalks in that area, each of these projects that come forward, we have to really look at them and ask that the sidewalks be installed, because then we can get the continuity we're looking for people to be able to, on foot, go to those
Absolutely.
different places, so.
Absolutely.
so I think you have a sense that we probably would like to see replace that, put that back in.
Right, and I'll see what traffic says about,
Okay.
crosswalks and that question.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll see you next month with all of those things that you talked about on the plan and go from there.
Do you want to see these changes before we push for a public hearing?
Yeah, do you want to set a public hearing?
We could, do you think you'll have things for the public to actually take a look at, including the architecturals and stuff like that?
Right, so the initial meeting went well. I think there was 4 items that they focused in on. One was color, some soffit details. So talking to the architect, they're going to meet May 7th, I believe. So I would have, a second review on a set of plans that I think would be in position to present to the board. Speaking to the traffic engineer regarding the supplemental, they will be ready for April 30th submission, so that report would be available for that public meeting in May. As far as adding a fence detail and, if we have to add the sidewalk back and any crosswalk, those are detail-related items. Soils testing has been completed. Septic's been designed, so it's really just putting some details together for the drainage. I think we could do that in a week.
Okay, all right, then you'll be ready for a public hearing at the May 19th meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I'll accept a motion to schedule a public hearing for TEG Federal Credit Union for May 19th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
Okay, then the next item on the agenda is 225 Robinson.
So this is the existing farm. As soon as you go right down Robinson Lane from the traffic light, it's on as you're going down Robinson, it's on your right. It's immediately past the Neshwa Plaza there. What the applicant would like to do is a local farm owner in town, and what he'd like to do is he'd like to fix up the property. It's in disarray, and part of, fixing up a piece of property is trying to generate some income to support, reviving the area and the land. So what he'd like to do under section 194-67-5, there's a provision for an ag parcel to have contractor storage, and material storage on site, and there's some protocol that was developed as part of that allowance. So with a parcel of this size, you're looking at just a hair over, 2.7 acres of area that would be that storage entity. And part of that is you want to make sure that you're away from residential properties, you're providing screening to neighboring properties from businesses. So what we try to do is, push that back. Obviously, we have a residential area along Robinson Lane, but if you look at the map here, the area in purple is just a rectangular area. It's currently horse paddocks, old fenced areas. It's relatively flat out there. So what they'd like to do is just use that area for that storage area. There would be fencing around it, access to it. What the applicant wanted to do is push the entrance down slightly. So if you see this little brown area here next to the plaza, he located the entrance here. This would be a two-way commercial, just so it's down from the residential dwellings that exist along Robinson Lane, so there wouldn't be like any headlight glare, and it's closer to a commercial entity. And then just kind of coming down that property line, swinging in, there's existing gravel roads in the property. So what he'd like to do is kind of, utilize some of that existing disturbance. There's existing structures on the property. We're not proposing any existing barns on the property. Eventually over time, just, rehab. But basically take that road and that travelway and come down to this little storage area here. And that's where the vehicles would be. There'd be a gate on there. It'd be accessible to the fire department. The intent is to have fully stabilized driveway, so it would support emergency service vehicles if they had to get back there. We're not proposing any fuel storage on site. When the applicant was talking to the engineering department, they made a request that, if there's no truck washing anticipated, but if something has to be washed, that there's a provision that any of that waste would be contained in like an oil water separator. So what we kind of detailed here is an existing structure, barn structure here, that would be part of this that he would use, but just have like a small, like 20 by 20 or maybe 20 by 30 paved area, have it sloped inward, and have like an oil water separator, and just to make sure that there's protection of groundwater out there. I mean, I think everybody's driven down Robinson. They know that the groundwater fluctuates out there. So just trying to provide some kind of mechanism that there's, protection of it. But that's, basically what the applicant wants to do. The intent of it is to try to, fix up the farm and bring some of its character back. But, that does take money. But hopefully this is the first step to try to start that process.
So is the intent then to use the rest of the land as a farm to continue to whatever farming is?
If there's opportunity there to farm, it will definitely be undertaken because it's going to support income to the piece. But yeah.
Okay. Questions or comments from board members?
So I guess where he would be doing storage, would he be doing any repairs and things of that nature?
No repair.
And then thereafter, sight lines from where he would be storing stuff to like the next neighboring home would be, what would you say, maybe in feet?
Yeah, so what I try to do, I try to depict that on here. So I'm trying to move this. So if we're, let's start from the entrance area. So we have a couple of existing homes here. So if you're looking at our closest home is almost right next to it, I believe, is it Strawberry? There's an existing subdivision entrance here. And there's an existing house here. So that is going to be about almost 1,100 feet back into the property. All right, now if you go down Robinson, there's a subdivision that was done. There's some residential homes off just past the farm. So if we're looking at it from that residence, you're about 675 feet to the start of the storage area. And then if you're trying to get a gauge of what this area is, depth 219, almost 220 feet. And if you're looking at width, you're about 540. And what we try to do is there's some existing structures there. There are some paddock areas. There's also a couple of sporadic trees next to those barn areas. So just try to keep it back there. The intent isn't to take any trees down, just kind of just leave what's there. Let's work behind it just to provide as much screening as possible. So if you look down toward, if we look at like from the business side of things along 376, what I try to do in this plan here is throw a little color at it just to give perspective. The green area is the existing, it's the existing tree line per the aerials. Again, the intent is not to take any trees down, but if you're looking as far as, let me see here. You know, if we're looking from 376 from the storage area to the applicant's property line is 550 feet, right? And then there's probably along that property line at its thinnest point here, where we probably have about 30 to maybe 40 feet of existing vegetation there, existing tree line, and that would be held. So, that should give you perspective. From our rear property line at the closest point, we're 185 feet.
And so has this property been like newly acquired and he's trying to invigorate it, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So is there any additional trees being planted, any additional vegetation or berms or fences or anything that are being added?
So there will be fencing around the storage area, and, you know, screening wise, yeah, we work with the town planner to see where screening is warranted, and maybe take a walk just with the planner and their engineering department just to give perspective on if they see additional screening is needed above and beyond, then we make that call and we show it.
So storage area would be like an item 4, no pavement?
Nope, the intent is to tread, there's a lot of existing gravel there now, as far as unimproved driveways.
Yes.
The whole area is gravel, sand and gravel. So the intent is to kind of keep that natural item 4 compacted, enough to support fire apparatus. Yeah, the intent is to compacted item 4, yeah, to support a fire truck. And it's very flat out there, so it's, we're not doing any major grading or anything like that.
So this is going to require a special permit from the planning board, and there are conditions in the special permit. I believe Jackie may have, you probably got this email and didn't understand what came to you, but I believe a couple weeks ago, Jackie sent around the special permit language in an email to all you folks, so you can look at that language, because there are requirements of the special permit that the applicant needs to meet. One of those requirements is that the outdoor storage area must be screened from public view by either a 6-foot-high fence that is opaque or solid, or a natural barrier. But it also gives the planning board discretion to, once you've seen where it is located and what's out there, to sort of decide whether or not a natural barrier is sufficient or what you would like to see. So it might be a good idea for the planning board to go out and take a look at it, because it does allow you that discretion. And since it is internal to the site, it might be a good idea to look at it before you actually require anything, because it might not need as much as you think it does. And then it just says, it talks about no processing of materials. I don't believe there's going to be any processing of materials on the site. It does give times when you can transport materials in and out of the site. It talks about all maintenance work on equipment, and I don't know how much they're planning to do there, but it has to be formed within a structure or on an impervious surface that is designed to retain any spillage of fluids, and cleaned immediately upon completion of work. This site is over an aquifer, so, you know, we do need to be sensitive to any sort of spills that could happen out there.
I think to add to the question about gravel surface, you know, this might be a location in a use where millings might be appropriate. You know, you don't want to pave it and then run heavier tracked equipment on top of blacktop. That doesn't make any sense. And on the same token, you don't want to have the trucks in and out generating dust, you know. But I think millings would be a good material to use for the access road, and in a lot of these areas, it's going to keep the dust down. You're not going to mind damage from heavy equipment, so I think that should be considered.
Gotcha.
Other than that area where the oil water separators, that'll have to be asphalt, because that has to be impervious.
I guess one thing that occurs to me is this seems to respond well to some of the things that we looked at when we were dealing with the comprehensive master plan, in that we were looking for ways to properly site contractors' yards. And I presume this does meet all of the requirements of our
Yeah, I think the,
Right, I think from a business zone, you have to be minimum 50 feet. At our closest, we're 550.
Yeah, gotcha.
And
Yeah.
for a residence, it's 150 feet, and we're 675.
Gotcha, excellent.
and I think it's just a matter of meeting the things that we just talked about and understanding what's happening out there, and then making sure that you're okay with whatever the visual screening is.
And then meanwhile, the current plan is to retain all the rest of this as open space and possibly as an agricultural use.
Yeah,
Both of which are things that are goals of the towns under its comprehensive master plan.
just revive the property. Yeah.
Got it. Any other questions or comments?
No, as far as next steps go, go ahead.
Yeah, David?
The base material for the storage areas is going to be what?
Either millings or item 4. It's something that can support fire apparatus, and like Scott said.
I wasn't worried about that, but the actual parking area, construction equipment is notably liters of oil, and is that going to be allowed to get into, you know, through the millings or the iron port or to the ground?
Millings tighten up more than item 4. They're both somewhat impervious, somewhat, but definitely millings more. Millings, after a year driving back and forth on it, tightened up like blacktop.
Yeah.
Item 4,
Especially a couple
not so
hot
much
days.
as it stirred up.
Okay.
As far as moving forward, are we in a position to, we have to circulate for lead agency, things like that? Do you work?
Yeah, we have to declare your intent, and
Declare
also
intent.
I think we because it's a special permit, there has to be a public hearing.
Correct. As far as circulation goes, is that something that we should get going, obviously ASAP? As far as the questions go that we've discussed tonight with screening and positioning of things, does the board want additional information or go out into the field and then schedule a public hearing, or do you want to schedule a public hearing, get comments, and how does the board feel?
I think I'd feel comfortable going ahead and scheduling the public hearing, but would like to do a site visit sometime between now and that public hearing, so we're prepared with any questions we might have.
Okay, that's perfect. So we've set the public hearing for the 19th. Is there any particular day the board wants to go out on site? Or do you want to circulate an email or? Okay.
Very good. Yeah, Jackie can try to schedule us all in. So I will accept a motion to declare intent to be lead agency.
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'll accept a motion to schedule a public hearing for 225 Robinson to take place on May 19th, 2026.
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Very good. Thank you.
Have a great night.
So we have a bunch of site visits to sort of hash out. Do we want to do that tonight, or do you want to do it via, I think it's probably easier to maybe look at calendars tonight and then have Jackie send around some confirmation emails?
We can probably do that after we adjourn, just take a few minutes with those of us who are here. Unfortunately, Sarah had to step out, but you can then check with her independently. So if there's no other formal business to come before the board, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, everybody.
What works best for the day or night later?
I'm pretty open, by the way. So I think